Well, shit. Another video on this godforsaken channel about another saga. I'm really turning into a proper commentary channel now, aren't I? Here's the thing though, I was initially not going to upload anything for a while because I'm currently working on a follow-up video to this upload. This video that you're watching right now is not that follow-up. But have no fear, cause this saga right here precisely has everything that you can imagine. It has lies, deceit, earth-shattering insults with the occasional homophobic slur. It has a desperate call for attention, with that call receiving a lot of attention. And it takes place in Florida, but unfortunately features Florida men and women that are less than stellar, lame, daft, and are subjected to be thrown into the Everglades. This is a saga, alright, and it's glorious, whilst also making me reinforce my hope that the Thanos snap comes to fruition. As mentioned already, this takes place in Florida, and more specifically, EPCOT, a place filled to the brim with diversity, international festivals, and its very own drinking culture. It is also quite popular, on average gaining just over 34,000 guests per day. That's a lot of stats. And one of these stats was a person by the name of Quadro Brathwaite. Quadro, along with his friends Stella, Sophie, and Neil, all attended EPCOT and did some EPCOT-related stuff, which in this case means cutting a line and proceeding to shit on the people behind them. Here's the video. It's just above 3 minutes long. Here are some of the highlights.
Give a fuck, bro. You're a fucking nerd, dude. It's like fucking Harry Potter, nigga. Shut the fuck up, bro.
Is that supposed to be an insult?
Cut on the wall.
Tim, you're here too.
Who are you?
I thought you were talking while you're doing
I play football at the University of Central Florida. Show 'em, pussy. Yeah, true. What you want? You want my name, social security? What you want?
my address.
I make money, homie. I'm a businessman, bro.
Actually, I'd like to know the family that you cut in front of all of us to be with.
Oh, really? Want to record?
Shut up, Stella. Go the fuck back and shut the fuck up.
Bro, he looks like a Wow.
You watch me on Saturdays. You and your family tailgate outside of my stadium. You're how old? I'm 21. I got more money in NIL than you ever. Look me up. Google me. Google me.
What's your name?
Google me.
So yeah, the backlash was pretty substantial, and the video itself, well, it began to spread rather quickly. Still, on paper, this just seems like a bunch of hooligans cutting in line and acting like children, but there is more to this story than just that. You might be wondering how I was able to identify these individuals, and the answer to that is that the internet is a cold and ruthless place. I'm not too sure how fast these guys were identified, but this Instagram post made by that Dinesh guy identified the main culprit's IGs. Subsequently, their other socials were sniffed, followed by their actual names. And because of this, many viewers flocked to their IGs in an attempt to spew obscenities. But of course, after getting wind that they were being publicly embarrassed and to avoid getting themselves blasted even further, almost all of the culprits decided to block their IGs from having comments. Except for Neil, the only member of this group that so far has demonstrated some form of class, and an actual pair of balls. Meanwhile, over on TikTok, Quadro tried to initially justify and defend himself, whilst that Dinesh guy was one of the leaders in the revolt to expose every single one of these pricks in any facet imaginable. And the comments were as expected. In any event, this was a massive shit show. Made even more shittier when Quadro went live on his IG to try to justify his behavior. First by playing the race card by saying that he was called the N-word, which is interesting because he was the only one that I was able to hear say the N-word.
Like fucking Harry Potter, nigga.
And more specifically, it was quite clear that race wasn't a factor to begin with, judging by their behavior. This quote from Quadro at the very beginning of the video,
Cut on the wall where you guys walking stuff. We're all going to the same place.
and even more so, them failing to disclose that a racial slur was actually said towards Quadro once one of the managers came to defuse the situation.
They were up front of everybody. They're trying to say we're skipping. Because we walked up to our girlfriend.
This is getting sad. And oh boy, does it get a bit worse. That IG Live again. In that same IG Live, he mentions this.
And the girl who, okay, now let me press on that situation. The girl is Stella, a friend of mine. She's fucking 17 years old.
That is a pretty big moral and or ethical dilemma, but not necessarily a dilemma when it comes to Florida law. Because according to Florida consent laws, there is actually an exception called a close in age exemption, also called the Romeo and Juliet law, which allows minors aged 16 or 17 to engage in intercourse with adults aged up to 23. And lo and behold, Quadro is at the maximum age of 23, therefore making this a lawfully fine relationship. Though I wouldn't necessarily call it a perfect and or loving relationship either, because
Stella, go the fuck back and shut the fuck up.
I also want to bring into notice this comment made by Quadro.
I played football at the University of Central Florida.
He isn't necessarily lying, as he did play high school football at a Floridian high school. Here's the thing though, he never played at the University of Central Florida. Apparently the reason why he even brought that up is because he saw someone wearing UCF gear. He was, however, arrested at Volusia County, Florida. Don't get too excited though, the arrest was for driving with a suspended license and is the only thing on his rap sheet. Or in other words, his record consists of a slap on the wrist. Though he also got an eviction notice last year, and that kinda sorta isn't a slap on the wrist. In any event, that's a lot of info regarding Quadro, and to be fair, he did ask for it.
Google me.
So what about the other culprits? Well, as far as I'm aware, they have yet to make any sort of statement regarding their behavior. Which, to be fair, is actually really smart, considering how much shit they're currently in. Though from what I can also gather, apparently Sophie attends UCF. Sophie being the girl who used the homophobic slur. And apparently, Stella did some stuff involving her mother's account or something. This is from a comment that I was able to find under one of That Dinesh guy's videos regarding this scenario. Honestly, and I might be wrong here, but this guy might actually be the true winner in this case, because as far as I'm aware, he hasn't been identified, and yet here he is, clearly with the gang. So kudos to him, I suppose. And you know what? I do have to congratulate these individuals. If this was your get famous quick scheme, you did just that, with Quadro reaping most of the benefits. And I gotta say, that call to action in hindsight was actually genuinely smart, because in turn, we were able to match names to their faces. In short, you all went from being stats of an institution to stats with a purpose. That purpose being to annoy everyone in that building, get exposed online for embarrassing behavior, get absolutely blasted on the internet, and in the case of Quadro, attempting to defend and justify whilst also digging your grave. Slowly and painfully. It's kind of funny in hindsight, considering how Quadro was clearly attempting to keep his friends quiet, yet here he was, failing to follow his own advice as he spews out obscenities and lies, whilst his friends just simply couldn't help themselves. Oh, I almost forgot. Quadro did eventually post an apology on his TikTok account. Though considering that it is a TikTok apology, you can kinda guess how good that went. So nice, in fact, that he did it twice. No, literally, he uploaded 2 separate apologies. Also, apparently people were able to find his mother, which is something in and of itself, but then again, as I said, the internet is a cold and ruthless place, especially to people who act like fools. To be fair, that honestly best describes their behavior. Baffling, cringe, sad, hilarious, and in general just a complete mindfuck. These people are cringe and lame, even down to their insults. They're effectively comedian-like, except instead of laughing with them, we are laughing at them. Most of these guys I assume are 20-somethings, the youngest is 17, and yet here they all are acting so senile it's quite disturbing. I honestly thought that these guys were blasted to high heaven, but I highly doubt that was the case, considering Quadro didn't even use that as an excuse at all. These guys weren't drunk college kids making a scene, but rather sober college kids with nothing better to do in their lives other than to be a nuisance wasting everybody's time. Pretty embarrassing. In short, They're just pricks, but not like level 100 pricks, more like level 1 pricks, daft and unimpressive, which means that in hindsight they are effectively nothing. But thank you for watching.
Don't say shit to them, bro. They're fucking lame, bro. And then just stop talking to him. When you give people attention, attention is currency. You're done. You're cut off. I ain't talking to you. Last word.